219 consecutive games. Every game since 1962. And here are some of the warm scenes as the players get ready for the top-ranked Cornhuskers.
One of the important things for me before a game is getting my arm rubbed down and loosened up by George Sullivan. He's a trainer here that's been around since my dad played and used to take care of him, so he gets me ready for every game.
When we run out to the field, we're the first ones to the field, and hear the crowd get ready for us to come out, and the kickers and holders and snappers come together, and we decide we're going to have a perfect day. We just have special on three.
When the offensive and defensive linemen walk out together before the game, you know, those are the guys that you do battle with all week, and now you're going out into battle. Before every game, my dad comes down the field, and I give him a big hug, and I, just tell him thanks, for everything he's done for me, and that, I love him, and I appreciate all the support he's ever given me.
A special bond has always existed here amongst players, family, and just general fans. Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. With Dan Fouts, I'm Brent Musburger. Dan, could be a celebration. 25 years for Tom Osborne. He could win number 250 against Oklahoma. That's 10 wins a year, partner.
And the amazing thing about it is, Brent, he's done it his way. In this age of throwing the ball all over the place with spread offenses and 5 wide receivers, he's done it by running the ball. This offense this year is averaging nearly 400 yards a game on the ground. Undisputed leader, quarterback Scott Frost.
It used to be a huge rivalry with Oklahoma, but the last few years it's been one-sided. And here comes Tom Osborne, who struggled early on against the Sooners, but who has dominated them over the last few years. The top-ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers, ready to do battle with Oklahoma for the last time until the year 2000. The kickoff is coming up. From Lincoln, Nebraska, the top-ranked team in the country, the Cornhuskers, host the Oklahoma Sooners. Jackaroota, I almost hate to mention this, but there seem to be some storm clouds brewing in the background, partner.
And Brent, the report we've got is those storm clouds have got hail in them, and this area can't take any more foul weather. 6 days ago, a freak snowstorm came in here and snapped trees with unbelievable snowfall. But the people of Lincoln, they didn't want to miss this game, so they came here. And all right now, they've got about 3,000 people that are still out of power. But they haven't lost their sense of humor, because they'll still trade OU tickets if they can get some of that power. They'll be watching, Brent.
Yes, indeed. Some of the players were even without power, and they had to go elsewhere to watch Monday Night Football on ABC. The wind, Dan Fouts, is going to be a huge factor in this game.
This type of game, field position is going to be very important. Kicking game is going to be directly affected by this wind, and it is blowing from left to right. Obviously, Oklahoma will kick off with the wind at their back.
Jeremy Alexander should rip this one right through the end zone with that breeze directly behind him. Nebraska's first series should be coming out for the 20-yard line. Let's see what happens here. He certainly has enough wind at his back. In fact, somebody might have to hold the ball. You can see how it's bouncing down the artificial turf here in Lincoln. That'll give you an idea of how stiff that wind is.
That's the one thing Tom Osborne said about his offense, the fact that they love to run the ball. Weather, wind, rain, snow, whatever you want, will not affect this man's offense.
So with a little bit of help, Alexander, the 5'10" senior, will get it started. Yes, sir, coming out. That'll give us plenty of time to take a look at the Chili's starting offensive lineup for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Scott Frost improving at quarterback, and Joel Makovicka, the tough walk-on fullback. He'll lead you to the action. Tim Carpenter, the tight end, usually very busy for the Huskers, and a great offensive line. Josh Heskew from Yukon, Oklahoma, has looked so forward to this game. The Sooners, he said, snubbed him when he was coming out of high school, and he has proven everybody wrong. He'll anchor this offensive line today and snap the ball to Frost on first down. A delay. Amon Green cuts first down, 15 yards on his first carry of the game against this Sooner defensive unit that'll be hard-pressed. Martin Chase, number 93 out of Lawton, Oklahoma, anchors the defensive front. The linebacker, Corey L. Ivy from Crandall, Texas, playing well according to Coach Wright. And then the safeties. They had to go to work right away at strong safety. Number 13, Terry White, figures to be very busy. First down for the Huskers, coming out from the old 35-yard line. Green again, pounds for 6, fumble! And Oklahoma says they've got it, and they do. Oklahoma turns it over on the second play of the game. How about that, Sooner fans? The Huskers have given it up.
Ahman Green upset, saying that he was down. It's a power play. Watch both the off-guard and off-tackle pull. See who knocks the ball loose. Tremendous turnover for Oklahoma. Ball is clearly out. Clearly a fumble. Corey L. Ivy with the recovery.
Fuente hands off to the starting running back. That's Seth Luttrell, number 35. As we take a look at our Chili's starting lineup for the Sooners. Along with Luttrell, we are going to see a true freshman, J.T. Thatcher, because Damon Parker, their leading running back, is out with an injury, not even in uniform. Stephen Alexander, a very good tight end. Second down and 8 yards to go for the Sooners. Play fake. Fuente down, got the middle, and he overthrew the tight end that time. Stephen Alexander had broken free in that secondary. Brian Shaw had the coverage, and here's our offensive line. Bruce McClure is the center, number 73. He will anchor it. They're going to be under pressure from that defensive unit all day long. Let's watch that tight end here, Danny.
Well, this is the matchup they want. They want to get Shaw on Alexander. This gives Oklahoma a great advantage.
Fuente fumble. Nebraska's got it. McFarland going for the end zone. Octavius to the 15. Down at the 8-yard line. First and goal, Nebraska.
Grant Wistrom, number 98, will knock this ball loose from Fuente right there. And then he gets a great AstroTurf bounce to McFarland. Watch the effort by J.T. Thatcher as he prevents the touchdown by McFarland, the true freshman, running down the linebacker. And the Cornhuskers match turnovers early here in the first quarter.
It'll be interesting to see if big Joel Makovicka, the 5'11", 240-pound junior fullback, number 45, gets a call here early on. Ahman Green, who turned it over, is back in the game. McFarland picking up that fumble and giving the Huskers their first scoring opportunity of this game. 13:36 to go in the opening quarter. First and goal. They line up in that eye.
They love the option play down in this part of the field, Brett.
Ahman Green gets the call the first time they carry the ball after his fumble, and he powers inside the 5-yard line where it'll be second and goal right at the 5. That's where his knee went down, and the ball is spotted right on the 5-yard line. There's our Coach Blake under fire down in Oklahoma, but he got a big vote of confidence this week from the president of the university, who said without question he'll be back next year. Legate is in as an extra power back. Here is the option. Frost keeping it cut off. Now late pitch, and Ahman Green forced out of bounds by number 2, Mike Woods, out of Del City, Oklahoma. Did a fine job defensively for the Sooners.
That was a beautiful job of defending the option. They made Frost indecisive as he came down the line of scrimmage. He wasn't sure exactly when to pitch this one. Good speed by Oklahoma as they string him all the way to the sideline. That is a dangerous pitch at the last minute to Green.
Wholesale substitutions for the Huskers. Kenny Cheeto checks in at split end, number 6. Now it is third down and goal from the 7. From the shotgun, Frost looks right, high, incomplete. It is 4th down. Outstanding job. Chevin Wiggins out of Palmetto, Florida, was the intended receiver, the wingback. And in this situation, Coach Osborne quickly sends his field goal unit onto the field.
Yeah, Frost just threw the poor pass right here. And now, you know, Brent, this is no guarantee. It's a short field goal try, but this is going right directly into the wind.
Chris Brown, number 35. Ted Retzlaff is the holder. Good view from this angle. He pulls it through. So the Huskers on the board with a field goal by Chris Brown after the Fuente fumble. Here is the recovery by the linebacker, Octavius McFarland. He's a senior out of Texas, and he sets up the 3-point field goal for Nebraska. 10th time in his 25 years here, Nebraska is unbeaten with 7 wins. 7-0, 10 times in 25 years. You go around the country, you talk to these coaches how tough it is with only 85 scholarships, but they just keep on rolling in Lincoln, Nebraska. A high short kickoff fielded at the 15 by Jackson. And Jackson pounded at the 24-yard line. That turnover came so quickly, we did not meet the defensive lineup for the Cornhuskers. So let's take a look at our Chili's starting lineup. Jason Peter enjoying an outstanding season, according to Coach Osborne. Grant Wistrom forcing the turnover. Jay Foreman, the son of Chuck Foreman, a former great running back at the Minnesota Vikings. And Clint Finley, the hard-hitting free safety who played for his daddy down in Texas, number 20. He can bring it. 1st and 10 for the Sooners. Fuente into the middle, high, almost intercepted on the deflection, but again they try to find Alexander. Dan, he was open again.
You know, sometimes you'd think that with the wind behind you, it would be easy to throw. But what happens is it's almost just as hard because the ball will sail on you. This is 2 passes now that Fuente has tried to hit Alexander, and the ball's just kind of floated on him. This was real close to being intercepted that time by Mike Brown.
J.T. Thatcher. And he used the fullback Latrell again, number 35, and he is whacked out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Mike Brown, the Rover from Arizona. Big hit. So here's the situation facing the Sooners. You can see how many of them are injured, especially Parker. Now take a look at the total. The offensive total, they have lost rushing 82% of their offense injured.
And they come into today with J.T. Thatcher, a true freshman, and Seth Latrell, a true freshman, and Dwight McKissick will back up Thatcher. He's a true freshman.
Fuente back again, gets time, fires, incomplete at midfield. No penalty flags down on the play, and it is 3 and out.
Makes you wonder how long John Blake will stay with Justin Fuente. We should see Brandon Daniels here real soon. In fact, he's coming out on the punt team. He's one of the real headhunters for the Sooners special team.
Brian Shackelford punting. And Bobby Newcomb, a freshman, back deep. Some even believe that he'll be a quarterback here eventually with the wind howling. Newcomb picks it up on the 18. There's a huge alley. 50 midfield, look out. He's gone. No, he's put down. Oh, I thought he had 6 for the Huskers, and down he went.
I think this 54-yard punt out-kicked the coverage. Great job by Newcomb. He has to avoid Jason Peter there. And I think Chevin Wiggins got the tackle right here. Number 5 came over and tripped up his own man. Certainly no white shirt put a finger or a hand on Newcomb.
Frost with the ball at the 27-yard line. Nebraska up a field goal, and Frost going to throw the swing to him on Green. There's an alley open. First down at the 15-yard line. On the pass play, Martin Chase makes the stop for the Sooners.
This offensive line has the ability to run right at you with the power game. But what sets this line apart from a lot of offensive lines in college is to watch how these guys get out in front of this screen. Anderson, number 70, with a good block there, and the tight end down the field as well, Sheldon Jackson.
Wiggins is in the slot for Nebraska. Option, Amon Green, the pitch man's free. Down at the 11-yard line. He picked up 4 yards on that run. Mike Woods defending the play.
This number here is just fantastic. 399 yards on the ground. Obviously number 1 in the NCAA. And Green is off to a good start with 27 yards so far on just 5 carries.
Lance Brown, the receiver out to the right. Macavicka back in at fullback. Cheatham is off to the left here on 2nd down. Macavicka straight ahead. And the ball down at the 6-yard line, Dan.
Well, Brandon, talking to Frank Solich, the offensive coordinator, he said, you have got to pay attention to our fullback because Joel Macavicka is a threat. He carries the ball about 10 times a game, and he is the leading average at 7 yards per carry, and he's their first choice on this type of option.
3rd down and 1 for the Huskers. Amon Green is stuffed. Didn't get it. The Sooners pound that hole, and the left side of the offensive line could not open it up.
Again, it's the power play left side this time, and Oklahoma does a great job of stuffing the run. Their best defensive lineman is number 93, Martin Chase.
Here is the 4th and close to 2. This time Osborne elects to go for it. They settled for a field goal last time. Frost option, pitch line, Green for the corner. It's very close. Out right at the marker. Woods is all over the place defensively, along with Corey T. Ivy. You can see there they've got a 1st and goal. And I mean just got it.
And Amon Green really paid the price for it. Him going out of the ball game right now. To watch the team speed of the Sooners. Again, they string out the option all the way to the sidelines. Great job by Woods playing off the block right there of Lance Brown, and the big hit coming in on Amon Green.
Coral Buckhalter, the freshman I-back, replaces Amon Green. Macavicka, the fullback. And Macavicka takes it in for the touch. It didn't have a touchdown, Nebraska. Wow. Nothing to it, huh? Green over on the sideline. Osborne's coaching staff wants to put the ball in the hands of the veteran. Brown adds the extra point. We've got our first touchdown of this game. And with 9:26 to go in the first quarter, the Huskers have opened up a quick, and I mean quick, 10-point lead on the Sooners. For the top-ranked team in the nation. Set to determine it. And as the weather turns colder, this team always gets hotter. It's been that way under Osborne. Same location. Fielded on the 11 by Jackson, and down he goes in a hurry.
Take a look at that touchdown. Watch the block here by Aaron Taylor, and then watch the center, Josh Heskew. This offensive line is so athletic. Has a huge hole, and the fullback doesn't get touched until he's 2 yards in the end zone.
Brandon Daniels, number 8, checks into the game. Moved from defense to offense prior to a week ago against K-State. An option whiz in high school out of Ada, Oklahoma. He'll hand off to the running back. A conservative opening play here for Daniels, only a sophomore. And Dan, how tough is it for Daniels to move over from defense to offense this late in the season?
He's lucky that he has an option background from high school, but you know, he was a wide receiver last year. He played safety this year. He runs under kicks as a special teamer, but he's fast. He runs a legitimate 4.4, and he is 220 pounds. His natural ability will have to take over here.
2nd and 8. Huskers would expect that option look from Daniels. Brings it down the line to his left. Going to keep it. He's quick, but not quick enough, and he put it down. Ball is on the carpet. Nebraska signaling that they may have it at the 24-yard line, and Peter comes out with a football. Peter had wrapped it up. And the Sooners in trouble again.
Wow, this is a terrible way to start your afternoon for Daniels. Carrying the ball rather loosely. Looked like it was popped loose there.
Mike Rucker was able to get in behind him and knock the ball free. And at the bottom of the pile, at some point, number 55, Jason Peter, out of Locust, New Jersey, came trotting out with the football. And Frost and the Huskers are threatening again. Amon Green checks back in. Frost throws. No, incomplete. For a moment, it appeared that Jeff Lake had grabbed it, but he could not hang on with Corey T. Ivy there defensively, the free safety.
This is a good job by the quarterback, Frost, giving his 6'4" wide receiver Jeff Lake a chance against the 5'10" Corey T. Ivy. It's a great job by Ivy stripping the ball loose as they both hit the ground.
There is Peter, his brother, one-time outstanding player here, who's now in the National Football League. 2nd down and 10. Option look. Amon Green looking to the left, and he's cut off. They'll spring it, knock him out of bounds at the 27-yard line.
Nebraska can run the power at you, and they can run the option game at you. They've had more success today just running straight at the Oklahoma Sooners. That option play has been well defensed by Oklahoma, as they have one player down on the field right now. They cannot afford any more injuries. This team has just been crushed by injuries. It's like Dale Allen, number 84.
Oh, he is down. When you talk to Osborne, he likes to rave about this year's defense, especially the man, Jason Peter, we just saw recover the fumble. Let's listen in on the Nebraska coach.
I think right now Jason Peter is the best defensive lineman we've had here, and that would include some pretty good ones like Neil Smith and some guys that have gone on, John Perella and a number of others that are really great players. But in terms of playing the run, playing the pass, and just, you know, disrupting the other team's offense, Jason's playing great football.
A year ago, I remember Jason Peter with a broken bone in his hand playing down the stretch for Coach McBride against Colorado. And then that losing effort against Texas.
Did he reach you?
That's saying a lot, too, when he calls, Tom Osborne calls Jason Peter the best defensive lineman. That's 25 years of some pretty good defensive linemen that have worn the black shirts of the Nebraska defense.
6'5", 285. There's a lot of talent scouts around the country. Better take note of that comment. Jason is a senior next to Foreman, another outstanding player. Remember now, this Nebraska team has back-to-back shutouts. They are working on their 9th consecutive scoreless quarter, and they lead it here 10-0. This is a team determined to protect the #1 ranking, to hold off all of those great showdowns next week, to win at home, to go to Columbia, Missouri, and then, of course, eventually to Boulder, Colorado, and wind up in the Orange Bowl, where they would hope to play either Florida, Florida State, or even North Carolina, should the Tar Heels come through next week and upset the Seminoles. And for Coach Blake, more problems at Oklahoma. Troubled times for the Sooners, losing 10-0, a 37-point underdog. That's hard to believe. 3rd down and 11. Frost on a swing, and Amon Green fumbles it. He's knocked out of bounds. A beautiful hit delivered by Travian Smith out of Tatum, Texas.
Amon Green's got to go back to his quarterback and say, hey, please read the coverage before you throw me the ball. Quarterback has got to see Travian Smith. Frost misread the linebacker coming up, putting up a huge hit. That's 2 big hits now on Amon Green in the first quarter.
Chris Bound, who has made 1 field goal into this stiff breeze. This will be a good test point. This is going to be a 42-yarder. This will not be easy into this wind. Strong leg. He's a junior. And he whacks it beautifully. What a great leg. On top of everything else, they have got an outstanding kicker here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And when you're going after your 3rd national championship in 4 years, that's not going to hurt at all. 13-0, Nebraska. We're in the first quarter. Let's take a look at our regional activity next week. We mentioned Nebraska, Missouri, one we're covering. We also have Michigan against Penn State. Big shootout in the Big Ten. Stanford, USC in the Pac-10. Georgia Tech, Virginia coming your way in the ACC. And then, of course, ESPN will have West Virginia, Syracuse tonight. And that's a showdown with Alliance Bowl implications there. The Mountaineers and the Orangemen in Syracuse. Al Peters turnover, responsible for 3 more points. They have dominated teams in the first half through today's first quarter.
They've had pretty good field position to start their drives with too, Brent.
Kansas State. That's a big loss for Texas Tech in the Big 12. Jackson. Fumble! Loose. Penalty flag. Sooners fall on the loose ball, but there is a penalty flag down at the 14-yard line. Jackson's going to have to get off that corner pretty soon. Illegal block on the part of the Sooners. It's turning from bad to worse, and it's only the first quarter.
Look at all the red shirts. Nobody's blocked. 2 guys right on the ball. Corey L. Ivy, number 43, saves the day momentarily for Oklahoma.
And what's beautiful about the way Brown is kicking off, they've asked him to dump it into this corner, and he's done it every time.
You know, the thing is that he's kicking against the wind. He just hit a 42-yarder into the teeth of the wind that had it made it by plenty.
Osborne and Frost talking about some of the option techniques, obviously, going over the defense that they're looking at on the field. Frost, a vastly improved quarterback. He's still not the great arm. He certainly is not Peyton Manning, but he's more than adequate in the system they run here in Lincoln. Wind at their back. Daniels option, fumbled last time, keeps it. Quick move, hit from behind and down at the 15-yard line. And Jack Arute, what's up with the Oklahoma sideline right now?
Well, Brent, John Blake went to his offense and gathered them around and tried very calmly to reassure them and get them calmed down. He said, guys, you're playing very, very tight. And he tried to break it down in simplistic terms. He said, you've got to put a few plays together simply to give our defense a rest.
Luttrell is the lone running back. Nothing doing. He keeps twisting for perhaps a yard. 3rd down and 3. John Saunders, my friend. How good is Toledo?
Very good indeed. Just ask the rest of the MAC on this Burger King update. Miami facing them today. 24 seconds left. Chris Wallace, 11 yards to Brock Preitsberg. They go for the 2-point conversion and pull off the victory, remaining unbeaten. 35-28, the final there. Brent.
All right, John. And here it's 13-0, the top-ranked Huskers. Oklahoma with a 3rd and 2 now. Daniels option. Here's the pitch for the first down. And out of bounds at the 27-yard line. So the Sooners pick up a first down. That is their first down of this game, and it came with 6:24 to go in the opening quarter.
And check out the block on the outside by Seth Luttrell. Couple of true freshmen playing here. That's a beautiful block, and now a beautiful move by Thatcher. And the first down, you know, what Jack said about the offense, it is important. They're lucky they're not down 21-0.
Daniels. They pound away with Luttrell again. Get a report from the sideline, Dan. They have lost another player. Allen done for the day because of an injured knee. 2nd down and 8.
Yeah, and playing these 2 and 3 true freshmen in the backfield, Dick Winder said, you know, as coaches, they need to be positive. Don't get down on losing all these players to injury.
Here's Daniel rolling. They push him back inside. Beautifully defended by number 22, Ralph Brown, the sophomore corner who grew up last year in a hurry because everyone, and I mean everyone, was throwing at him when they came to play the Huskers. Watch how he defends this play, does not give up the outside, and just forced him back into the inside. Watch how well this is defended.
Well, but the problem is here, Brent, is that Daniels is coming out running the whole way. There is no threat of the forward pass at all by the quarterback.
3rd down and 3. Daniels option other side, wants to keep it himself, and he is whacked at the 38-yard line, close to a 1st down. Mike Brown, the rover, making that hit for the Huskers.
You gotta like Brandon Daniels' style. He's not playing like a guy that hasn't played a whole lot. Good job here by Stephen Alexander on the corner here, pinning in Mike Rucker.
Great block by the tight end that time. He's one of the highly rated tight ends in college football. As Allen, done for the day, heads off to the Sooners locker room, and it's a fresh set of downs. So consecutive 1st downs for Brandon Daniels, the sophomore from Ada. And there is Stephen Alexander, 6'3", 238. Chickasha, Oklahoma. A good one. Daniels, good fake. McFarland coming, throws high, got his man. 11 yards on a completion, out of bounds, far side. Maurice Little receives the pass from Daniels.
His name may be Little, but he's 6'3", and he's going to need all of it on this throw by Daniels, who is now 1 for 1 in his college career as a quarterback.
We've only seen a handful of plays, but Daniels looks like he could be a good one under Dick Winder.
He gives them a lot of options, primarily the option play itself.
Now McBride's got the black shirts ready. Thatcher is the pitch man. Fumble! Sooners have got it again. Tony Ortiz, the sophomore linebacker. And there is a yellow flag, face mask, and it goes against the Sooners after the recovery.
And you know who made the big hit, Brent? It's Grant Wistrom, number 98, as he hit the quarterback from behind. Here he is, top of the screen right here. Watch on the option as Daniels comes down and hesitates just a moment here. And boom, gets blasted by the backside there. Another AstroTurf hop. There is the face mask grab by Stephen Alexander.
Face mask after the fumble against Oklahoma. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Dan, it is clear that McBride has told Wistrom and the rest of the black shirts on defense for Nebraska to come in behind Daniels on the option when you get a chance and try to knock it out. That is twice, and I can remember another time when they were chasing hard from the backside to try to get after him. They've seen something, and they think that ball is loose in his hands when they come up. Buckhalter, now the eye back. Fullback to the 25-yard line for 3 yards. Martin Chase makes the stop. Makovica, the ball carrier. There's an idea of what they've accomplished. 2 field goals and a touchdown and a 13-0 lead.
See that 28 there? Yeah, that says 28. Excuse my penmanship, but that's where they started this drive. 3 fumbles that just killed Oklahoma.
Here's Buckhalter. Twist for a couple of yards. injuries in that backfield for Nebraska, and so Buckhalter, a freshman, 6'2", 210, is forced to back up Amon Green today. Amon Green has already rushed for better than 1,000 yards, and it will be 3rd and 4.
And they want to give Green more rest as the season goes along, because he's a back that is a speed back and needs to get a blow every now and then if his speed and his quickness is going to be maintained throughout the entire 4 quarters.
Jeff Lake, Kenny Cheatham, and Lance Brown, the wide outs. Frost keeps it himself for the first down. So a special coming your way on Monday night. A couple of big interviews on Primetime Live with Iron Mike Tyson and Michael Jordan. Then, of course, it'll be the Steelers and the Chiefs coming up after that.
And we should mention that that interview took place before Tyson was injured in the motorcycle accident.
So 2:56 to go. 13-0. Huskers with the lead. There's the option pitch to Buckhalter's got the corner. Touchdown. Made it in. A late signal because the official was down. But once Buckhalter, the freshman, grabbed the corner, he was headed for 6.
We're talking about all the true freshmen for Oklahoma. Well, Buckhalter is one as well. That's his 5th touchdown of the year. Great block by Joel Makovica. Put him into the corner.
This one could get ugly. The option look from the Huskers. The pitch to the freshman. Eyes the block. Seizes the corner. It's 20-0. Timeout. 20-0, and we're still in the first quarter here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Chris Brown set to kick it off. He's kicked everything over to his right. Jackson is backed up at the 5, trying to come out again, and they close in a hurry, and down he goes. Closer and closer to the end zone. Grant Wistrom, the senior from Webb City, Missouri, forced that fumble. Backside again. And a proud father, Ron Wistrom, watching today, keeping the binoculars on his son defensively to see what he's going to come up with next. First down for the Sooners. 2:34 here in the opening quarter. Daniels uses the fullback Luttrell. Big hole on that counter move. And Seth Luttrell off the counter. This is the 3rd. Let me check something. This is the 3rd quarterback being used today by the Sooners. This is the junior Eric Moore, number 3. So this is how bad it's gotten for Oklahoma football. 2 minutes left in the opening quarter, trailing Nebraska 20-0. And this is the 3rd quarterback that the Sooners have used in this game. Hard running that time, going to be close to a first down. Smile on Frost's face already.
Some pretty good action in the pit here. Look at Alexander working against Wistrom that time. Talked about hard running. There's hard blocking as well, Brent.
Moore brings the Sooners up. Left-handed thrower wants the sideline. Jump ball incomplete, and that was defended that time by number 22 of the Cornhuskers, and that is Ralph Brown. Let's go down to Jack Arute.
Hey, Brent, if you want to keep up to date with what's going on in college football, well, it's real simple. All you have to do is go to America Online, and keyword is ABC Sports. You'll get it all. I'll tell you what, Brent, if you want to know the inside scoop, I do a column every week. A lot of lies, a lot of good stuff, too.
All right. Jack, we'll check that out for you, partner. 2nd down and 10. Minute and a half. Moore on a pitch. Thatcher to the 34-yard line, and he holds on to the ball tightly for 8 yards. So it will be actually closer to 9, it appears.
Yeah, you know, so who's having a pretty good game is the fullback, Seth Luttrell. He's been running the ball hard up the middle, but watch him right there, right side of the screen. He's going to get another good block that gives Thatcher a little bit of running room. Close to another first down.
1:05 to go in the opening quarter in Lincoln. Jackson, the wide receiver, out to the left. Moore straight ahead for the first down. Maurice Little, the senior flanker, brings the play in from the Sooners sideline. Gerald Williams also checks in, number 10. Final seconds of the opening stanza ticking away. Eric Moore, the junior, hands to the tailback for about a yard, and that's about it. Jason Peter in on still another stop. Stephen Alexander, the tight end, brings the play into the huddle. The difference in the game. And the end of our first quarter. The Cornhuskers, the top-ranked team in the nation, have now recorded 9 consecutive scoreless quarters in this streak alone, remember. Back-to-back shutouts, and now they have shut out Oklahoma with Buckhalter going in for one of their 2 touchdowns, but it has been the black shirt defense forcing 3 turnovers that set the pace. We'll be right back. Today to hand the winningest coach in the nation, Tom Osborne, victory number 250. 25 years, 10 victories a year.
Looking pretty hip there too, huh, with the shades on. He says that the biggest thing about that streak is that he's been here a long time. That must mean that I've done a good job.
Wistrom at right defensive end gets down in the 3-point stance, number 98, looking in at Moore. They blitz, it's picked up, and they finally get the ball in the hands of their very talented tight end, Stephen Alexander, and he shows that time why he's one of the best in the country. First time that Oklahoma has crossed midfield to the Huskers, 45-yard line.
Just the Sooners' second completion of the day, goes for 18 yards. And Moore may be the guy that will play and be most effective today, because they're going to have to throw the ball and they're going to have to run the option. He does both.
Luttrell's the running back. Here's the pitch, fumble again, and Moore recovered it himself. And our referee, Hal Dowden, is right on top of it.
This pitch is a little bit low, and I don't think Luttrell had his eye on it the entire way. That's a big play by Eric Moore to get on that fumble.
There is, Dowden, folks, he's an undertaker. And he's just told Oklahoma those fumbles are killing you.
Okay.
I might take an aggravation for using that line. I'm telling you, folks. 2nd down and 17.
That line was so bad that Oklahoma had to call timeout.
Meanwhile, Nebraska is saying this is new meaning to "we're going to bury you." We'll be right back. 3 left in the second quarter with Dan Fouts and Jack Arute. I'm Brett Musburger. Nice to have you along with us. The 3rd largest city in Nebraska on game day. A sea of red, the warmest, nicest setting that you'd ever imagine in college football. It is 2nd down and 17 for Eric Moore, the 3rd Oklahoma quarterback of the game. They trail the top-ranked team 20-0. The Huskers back out of a blitz. It's a 4-man rush. Wistrom's all over him. Fumble. on the ground. Nebraska goes for it at the 40-yard line. Grant Wistrom came out of the starting blocks that time and just ate him up. Folks, it was no contest.
And Dad could put the binoculars away because his son is putting the Sooners away. Wistrom with the sack, the forced fumble, and the fumble recovery. He has to get out underneath his own man, Kelsey, to get on the ball.
4 turnovers, and now the Huskers operate with the wind at their back. Scott Frost, play fake, middle, fires, touchdown, Nebraska! Bobby Newcomb, the freshman from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who was born in Africa, hauls it in for a quick 6. Here's Chris Brown. And he hammers in another extra point. It is 27-0. If you want to beat Wistrom and the Huskers this year, you better invite them to your building. Are you listening, Gators? ABC Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Burger King, where you get your burgers worth. Circuit City, answers in every department, low prices all over the store. The legendary Firebird Trans Am from Pontiac, and State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Happy Halloween, everybody.
We found somebody who likes your lines.
13:28 to go in the opening half, and it's 27-0.
It'll be interesting to see which quarterback will come out for Oklahoma now. 20.
Well, you've got to stick with somebody. Even if they start turning the ball over, you've got to let them have
all 3 of them a fumble.
Opportunity. This one's going out of the end zone. No question. Ron Wistrom watching from the stands as his son lights up Moore, Fuente, and Daniels. We have him mic'd. Take a listen on that last play by his son. Happy father watching that time, and you could see that Grant can't remember one quarter from the next. He was signaling the other direction ever so briefly, and Daniels returns as the OU quarterback. Hard running Latrell on a counter. Out to the 32-yard line. We ship you to New York, and John Saunders. John, these Huskers are something, partner.
They are indeed, but Ohio State is showing they have some strong plays as well. Here's a blocked punt. Ettinger has it blocked. It's picked up by Gary Berry, who returns it for the touchdown. He also had an interception return for a touchdown, so the Buckeyes lead now 17-6. Brent, back to you.
All right, John, thank you. The Bucs need some help if they want to get back to Pasadena, having lost that tough one to Penn State earlier this year. 1st and 10 for the Sooners. Latrell pounded by number 98.
Go back and take a look at the touchdown, the 3rd touchdown pass of the year by Scott Frost, 40 yards after the play fake. Watch as he just floats this ball and lets the wind just carry it to the hands of his wide receiver. Newcomb is a real talent playing wide receiver now.
And he could someday again wind up at quarterback. There are the points off the 4 turnovers for Oklahoma. They've given up 20 of the 27. J.T. Thatcher back in. Daniels going to give him a late pitch. It's on the ground and out of bounds.
This team is just totally intimidated by the defense of Nebraska. They can't block the defensive line, and now the quarterbacks, each of them has fumbled. This is a terrible pitch by Daniels. Looks at the last minute, and Thatcher had no idea when the ball was coming, where it was going.
Young man being asked to do an awful lot. Wide receiver a season ago. Then they switched him to safety. Then during the year they moved him to quarterback. That's asking a lot at this level, especially against this defensive unit. 3rd down and 17.
Yeah, if you're going to commit to an offensive style, you've got to commit to a player.
Daniels want to keep it, and he isn't going to get any time at all. And that was Peter breaking through. So if it's not 98, it's 55 coming to get you. You better have an offensive line if you're going to stick with this team this year. This is some operation.
There's just no blocking. Look at that. I mean, Peter is in on the quarterback on a 3-step drop by the time that 3rd foot hits the ground.
And the punter is back, Brian Shackelford. That's Newcomb, who was back in the middle, and all 3 of them will let this one roll dead at the 48-yard line. So against that breeze, that punt was held up. And a reminder that tomorrow we will televise the final round of the Tour Championship from down in Houston. Duval, Love, Faxon, and Glasson are all tied at 8 under par. So there is a 4-way tie for the lead right now, going into the richest purse on the PGA Tour tomorrow here on ABC. 1st down and 10. Amon Green returns as the I-back. He's lined up behind Makovica. Frost is the quarterback, coming off that touchdown pass moments ago. A 27-point Husker lead. Makovica, the first man. And this one did not surprise Oklahoma. They were ready for him. But again, Makovica has not lost a yard yet this year. Let's see where they put this down. He has not given up yardage, and he didn't that time either. He battled for 1 yard that time. That is hard to believe, that a fullback in that situation has not been caught for a loss of yardage yet this year. 2nd down and 9 coming up for the Huskers. Scott Frost, just an entirely different quarterback than we saw him at the end of the season. Bringing the option down. There's the wing back around on the option. And a fancy move gets him by on the outside. Newcomb. Wow, what a dash he showed when he was trapped back there by the Sooners, and he got away.
He had a huge run last week against Kansas that was called back. You talked about Makovica not losing any yardage. Watch the moves here by Newcomb as he just loses Darrell Bright right there and gets around the linebacker all the way for a gain of 1. Which 1-yard run did you like better, Brent? Makovica's or Newcomb's? I know who'd I vote for.
Newcomb starting to remind me of a young, what was that fellow's name? Tommy Frazier, was that his fellow's name? Yeah. Oh, 3rd down and 8. And Frost is happy to have him around. Scott going to throw to the tight end coming inside on a bit of a screen there that time. And that was Jeff Lake. Let me check that. The split end coming in. Well, one of the things that Frost told us is he has a lot more confidence this season in his ability.
I definitely have a lot more confidence this year. I think the whole team has more confidence, especially offense, and I'm just part of that. I think there's no substitute for experience, and the year of experience I got last year has done wonders for me this year.
Indeed it has. Jesse Cush comes in to punt. This is his first punt of the day. And Jackson, who's been pounded regularly on those kickoff returns, is back. Signals for a fair catch on a run-up. Now let it bounce. And then after signaling for the fair catch, he wasn't too sure what you can do with a bouncing punt, and he lets it roll. So the Big 12 here in the North, no question about Nebraska rolling toward the Big 12 championship game early in December down in San Antonio and the Alamo Dome, but it is really up in the air down to the south. K-State with a big one over Texas Tech today. 13-2 the final. Remember, Kansas State has already lost to Nebraska. And Baylor beating a troubled Texas program today. Kansas over Iowa State. Brandon Daniels hands it off for the Sooners. And Luttrell down at the 25-yard line. Picked up 3 yards.
It's really not surprising that Luttrell's having a good day, and Thatcher's running the ball well. They're true freshmen, but as a running back, it's really not that big of an adjustment from high school to the college level as far as just natural ability. You're running the ball. There's not a lot of thinking involved. You just go out there and do what comes naturally.
Second down. And this will leave them with about a 3rd and 5 coming up here as McFarland, who set up a touchdown with a fumble recovery, makes the stop.
And Brandon Daniels is obviously the quarterback of the future for Oklahoma, and he is probably going to be called upon today to play the rest of the day, I would suspect, because here you're already down 27-0. You're committed now to the option offense. Might as well give a young man the experience.
Jason Freeman and Jackson back into the game. Maurice Little is outside him. On 3rd down, Daniels keeps it. Did not fool number 21, Mike Brown.
And if Mike Brown wasn't going to get him, big number 98, Wistrom was. But again, it's a run all the way. You know, you'd like to give the quarterback the option, give him a receiver to throw the ball to if the safety comes up like Brown did that time. But that's strictly a running play for Oklahoma.
Shackelford standing at the Oklahoma 11-yard line. Newcomb would dearly love to run up on one and set sail. Gotta get it off. It's blocked. Man coming up the middle on it. Forced this one out of bounds.
It's like Kyle Vanden Bosch, Brent, came right up the middle and laid out and made the block. Check out what the penalty flag's all about.
So they will sort it out as things go from bad to worse for Oklahoma.
We have a dead ball. False start on the kicking team. We'll replay 4th down.
Oh, what a break.
What a break for Oklahoma.
Oh, man.
Well, maybe their luck's turning here a little bit. It couldn't get much worse. They're offsides. That nullifies the play. It's before the ball is snapped. A dead ball foul. And that's the best penalty ever called against Oklahoma.
So Shackelford.
They might block this one too.
He's standing on the OU 6. Here they come, and he does get it off. Newcomb on the second bounce, can't get away, down at the 45-yard line. So Scott Frost and the offense will come back to work with Nebraska, the #1 team in the nation, leading Oklahoma 27-0. Timeout. Jason Peter now has accounted for almost 40 tackles on the front line this season. He's a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year around the country, and he figures to be the #1 defensive tackle drafted by the NFL. Scott Frost, coming off a 100-yard rushing day a week ago, back in to run the offense. Here he is on the option, keeps it, and Frost busts a tackle and breaks out. 30 down the sideline, pushed out of bounds. Scott Frost. The ball is going to be marked at the 30-yard line where he first stepped out of bounds.
You know, Brett, not only did he have a beautiful run here, the most impressive thing here is watch him knock over the tacklers. 3 guys go down right there. What a great run. He's got to figure out where the sideline is, though. He ran out of bounds about 10 yards up the field before the contact.
Now,
he
probably doesn't figure to be, you know, a starting flashy quarterback in the NFL, but someone's going to take him because he says, I'll play special teams, I'll do anything to get a chance in the NFL. And here he is, pitching the ball, and Bobby Newcomb, now a running back, a return man, a wide receiver, a running back, and perhaps a future quarterback. He can do it all out of New Mexico. Bobby Newcomb.
Well, watch the option play, and Newcomb is the receiver on the end of this one from the wingback. Great blocking down the field by the wide receivers, and the Huskers are just relentless.
Makovic and Amon Green are directly behind Frost. Frost brings it again, dips back outside, goes for the corner. Here's the speed, dives, the pylon. Just missed it by a yard. He said, I had it, but the official will mark it at the 1.
Well, I think the officials blew this one. He hit the pylon with the ball on the inside of the pylon. That means the ball crossed the goal line, and that should be a touchdown.
There's a conference down there. One of the officials may have seen it.
Watch him stretch out with the left hand here at the end of the run.
It's a touchdown. They've changed the call. You're exactly right. He got the pylon.
And the ball clearly will break the plane as he sticks it in his left hand and totally sells out for the pylon. There it is. Touchdown, Nebraska.
Looking for victory number 250. And he will do it in 25 years. Joe Paterno needed 3 years longer than that. Chris Brown for the extra point. Pounds it through. Perhaps the most improved quarterback in the country. Drafted by Stanford, Bill Walsh had him at safety. He came back home to play at Nebraska. They moved him back to quarterback. He replaced Tommy Frazier. He didn't satisfy the faithful a year ago because Nebraska was upset by Arizona State on a Saturday night down in Tempe. Then they lost the Big 12 championship game to Texas on a John Makovic gamble as coach of the Longhorns. But Frost hung with it, accepted the criticism, and he is back as a Warrior this year. And now he has the Cornhuskers stalking another national championship.
And you know the big thing, Brent, is the fact that he went into Washington, University of Washington Husky Stadium, and he beat the Huskies. And that's not an easy thing to do. The Huskies are one of the best teams in the nation. And at that point, there was a lot of questions about this Cornhusker team and about number 7. Well, since that game, there haven't been any questions at all.
26 seconds. That's how long it took Nebraska to go 54 yards for this touchdown. Chris Brown to pound another one. This one he wants returned, and it'll be Jackson again. Jackson has an alley right side. 30 out to the 36-yard line. Well, we've talked about the criticism of Scott Frost, and we asked him how he was able to handle it so well and come back stronger than ever.
Well, criticism, I think, is something that comes naturally with the quarterback position. I don't care how good you are, how many years you've played well, anything. You know, if you have a few down games, you're going to be criticized. I've even seen, you know, guys like Dan Marino getting criticized this year, and, you know, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the history of football. I think when those kind of things happen, you just have to, most of all, keep confidence in yourself. Maybe turn to the people that you care about, your family, and they'll stick with you. And if you fight your way through it, you're going to be a better guy in the end.
Eric Moore back in at quarterback. Dan Fouts, you were subject to some criticism, and I know you had a little talk with him about it. What's your feeling about the criticism of the quarterbacking position and how he's handled it?
Well, I think he's done a great job with it. He's just put it behind him. He's blocked it out, and he's concentrated on how to become a better football player. And really, the only way to sway public opinion is by your performance. And his performance at Husky Stadium up in Seattle really convinced me and all these people wearing red that he is the star quarterback for this football team.
He's throwing for a touchdown, passed for another, and meanwhile the black shirts just keep pounding away. Let's get more on Scott Frost. You know, Jack, you and I have talked about him, and it's an interesting family, and we're happy for the young man.
Well, Brett, finally, Scott Frost has got a sense of humor as well. You know, he really had a problem, as you guys have recounted. But when the media asked him some questions after last week's 35-0 game, first they asked him, well, what was it like to win that game 35-0? He says, well, you know, it's a lot like painting your house pink. When the paint goes on, you're not real happy, but you get the paint on, and at least the job's done. And he's got that kind of sense of humor now, so he's starting to lighten up a little bit, Brent.
Here's 3rd and 19, Jack. Sooners under pressure again. Not going to get it with this play. J.T. Thatcher, the freshman, pounded at the 30-yard line, and the Sooners are forced to punt. You know, the rivalry is coming to an end with this game. And I know one sideline that's delighted about the fact that they don't have to play these guys for a while. Osborne wanted to call down and see if he could convince Oklahoma, because of the rotation of the Big 12, you know, play him a preseason game, have a non-conference, anything to keep it going. But Oklahoma said, no, I think we'll take a couple years off and we'll see you down the road.
Good decision
yeah,
by
I
Oklahoma.
think so. But boy, there have been some great moments. When you think back to the glory years, this punt's going to roll dead. It'll be down at the 41. I've been here for some of the great games. 1987, OU came in here, coached by Barry Switzer. They were number 2. Nebraska was number 1. First quarter, remember this? Keith Jones from 25 yards out, and the Huskers led it by this touchdown at the half. But then in the third quarter, Patrick Collins, 65 yards, Boomer Sooner. Oklahoma took a 14-7 lead, went on to win 17-7. And for Sooner fans right now, that must seem like a million years ago in this rivalry. 5-0-2, 34-0. And yes, to the 32-yard line, Lance Brown, the junior wingback, and Nebraska keeps pounding away.
This is unbelievable pass. I guess when you're hot, you're hot. Good pass protection, but this ball should have never been thrown. He zips it by 3 white shirts. Cedric Stevens, number 7, never saw the ball as it went right by his ear to the receiver, Lance Brown.
When I said Nebraska was favored by 37, I didn't mean the first half. It's 34-0. It's 4:47 to go, and the Huskers are stocking another one. They're inside the 35-yard line. The option's Makovica, a walk-on fullback. Both he and his brother walked on. When you think of the walk-on program, Dan, it doesn't get any better than the one right here in Lincoln.
And the fullbacks are the walk-on guys. It's a real tradition here in Lincoln. And here's Makovica. And the thing I want you to watch at the end of this play is the quarterback, Scott Frost, number 7, right there, taking a shot at an Oklahoma defensive back. He doesn't quite have that quarterback mentality, does he, Brent?
No, indeed. That's why he'll do anything in the NFL if he gets a chance. Amon Greensbury out of bounds at the 14-yard line. First down for the Huskers. Terry White, the safety, pushing him out of bounds. This could be an ugly, ugly locker room at the intermission. This is a very, very disappointed Oklahoma team right now.
And they're totally intimidated and being outplayed, out-hit, out-hustled. And we may see 7 or 8 more walk-ons for Nebraska before this afternoon's over. Blake looking at the clock, trying to get it to run faster.
Green the eye back. Frost. And here's Amon cutting quickly to the left. Dan, what's your opinion of Ahman Green? He's already rushed for over 1,000 yards. How do you evaluate him?
Well, the thing that I've seen this year is that he's playing a lot tougher. And I think it's because of the great competition here at Nebraska. You know, we've seen Buckhalter. We haven't seen Jay Sims or a couple other tailbacks. But these guys know that they got to stay in the game. And that's one thing he talked to us about yesterday in Lawrence Phillips. He said that he learned from Lawrence Phillips that when you are the eye back here in Nebraska, you want to play every play because the guy behind you is pretty darn good.
Yeah, both Sims and Evans out with injuries. Here is that option, and Frost keeps it and slams to the 6-yard line. So it'll be 3rd down coming up for Nebraska with 3:12 to go in the first half, and the Huskers up 34-0. It's like a fast break offense. When Nebraska gets rolling, they seem to be coming downhill. I hope some of you basketball fans had an opportunity to watch what Rick Pitino has done with the Boston Celtics. Got a bunch of youngsters, used a 10 or 11 man rotation against Chicago last night, and it was a thing of beauty. 2:45, 34-0. Stuffed, nothing doing. Made perhaps the 5-yard line, so it's 4th down coming up. And John,
that's another huge decision right now for Tom Osborne. Does he go for the 4th down play, or does he kick the field goal?
Think back to the early years. How many times Osborne lost to Switzer? It was always Sooner magic, one year after another. But they long ago lost their magician. And now it is simply the Huskers, and he's going to go here on 4th and 2. Nakaveka is sent in front of Ahman Green. Frost is going to roll hard to the right. Going to throw for it. Deflected. Oklahoma ball. There's Chase, number 93. He's a good one. Darrell Bright was also there, number 95. See which one deflects this.
It's a surprising call. They've been able to run the ball extremely well today. There's the play right there.
It was Bright, the freshman defensive end, who deflects the pass.
As a courtesy to Husker fans, Cellular One phone centers are located outside the east and west stadium entrances. Cellular One invites you to place
147. And the Sooners are coming out from the 6-yard line. Eric Moore hands it off. Let's check in with John Saunders and see what's coming up at halftime.
Coming up on Valvoline Halftime 97, the day's scores and highlights. Number 1, Nebraska's rolling against Oklahoma.
Now, Florida State looks good. Michigan and Penn State both win today, setting up a huge matchup next week in State College.
It's all coming up on Valvoline Halftime 97.
And John and Todd, we look forward to that. Here it is, Nebraska rolling toward what would be its 41st consecutive win here in Lincoln. That would put them up number 5 on the all-time list. 107. Penalty flag thrown on the play by the linesman at the 10-yard line that time.
penalty flag on the play.
So referee Dowden will get the crew together. And it is against the Huskers. Final minute coming up here in the first half. 34-0. Turnovers have been the story of this game, and the Sooners have put it on the carpet 4 times. Missouri beating Colorado. Missouri would be hosting Nebraska next week in Columbia. What a job Corby Jones is doing at quarterback. That team picking off Oklahoma State. Mo Anke's defense stopping that 2-point play. There's Luttrell. Slams to the 26-yard line. Half minute to go now, and Dan, is this your first trip into this stadium, Joe?
Oh, I really appreciate you bringing that up, Brent. No. I was here back in 1971. I was a member of the Oregon Ducks. We opened the season with the Cornhuskers, and they had 34 points that day as well. We held them down to 34. Of course, I led our team to all of 7. Thanks for reminding me, pal.
Out of bounds at the 26-yard line.
Yeah, I look back on it. It's a heck of an accomplishment, you know.
Exactly.
They went undefeated that year. I bet they go undefeated this year, too.
I don't think there's a team anywhere that represents a state quite like this one does. It is amazing. These fans flock here on game day. And there is a legend as far as they're concerned.
The offensive lineman flinched for Oklahoma. Yeah, they're going to have a huge celebration here at the end of this ball game.
Dead ball. False start on the offense. Still second down.
Commemorating Tom Osborne's 250th anniversary. They got fireworks, and they're going to give him the game ball and all those nice things. You can get started on those fireworks at halftime, buddy.
36 consecutive winning seasons. That means that man has never experienced a losing year. That's just amazing, isn't it?
He's never lost more than 3 games in any one year. That's what's more amazing, I think.
Final 15 seconds. Now the 25-yard line, stuck by McFarland and Mike Brown. Fletcher, the freshman running back. That's going to do it. The first half comes to an end, and Nebraska shows everyone why they are the top-ranked team in the nation. 34-0. The Huskers lead the Sooners. It's the #1 team in the nation, Nebraska, showing why. The Huskers 34, Oklahoma nothing. And Dan Fouts, it was really lopsided. Makovica rolling in for a touchdown, and it was downhill from there.
Well, they got great field position that entire first quarter. They were going against the wind, but it looked like they were running downhill. Buckwalter gets in there. Beautiful pass when they get the wind behind them. And Newcomb is becoming a star all today. This was a great effort by Scott Frost to get into the end zone.
And there is number 7, the senior quarterback from Wood River, Nebraska. Scott Frost transferred back. Amon Green, the I-back, with Sims injured and out today, and D'Angelo Evans has been injured all season. Fielded at the 4-yard line by Walker. And Walker finds a gap to the 28-yard line. And we take a look at the Dean Witter first half statistics. Turnovers were critical. The Sooners put it on the carpet 4 times in that game, and Nebraska stung them for 20 of their 34 points, Dan.
And Scott Frost was 4 for 8 for the 77 yards. But this average start is what absolutely killed Oklahoma in that first quarter.
Green lined up behind. Makovica. The toss is to Amon, searches dayline, and then picks his way to the 34-yard line, picking up 6 yards on the play. Joseph out of Miami making the stop. There's a look at the first half possessions chart as far as Nebraska was concerned. After their fumble, they got it right back immediately and marched for a quick field goal, and then it was a touchdown, field goal, and a couple of scores before they were finally forced to punt. Second down. The option pitch, and Amon Green will roll easily for the first down. Steps out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Corey L. Ivy was there for the Sooners.
First down, Nebraska.
Ahman Green is basically healthy this year after suffering a turf toe injury, then stress fracture last year. This is what the option looks like if you're playing weak safety for Oklahoma. Misdirection at first, and then number 30 rolling around the corner for a first down.
A delay, Green. The 46-yard line, picking up perhaps 3 yards on that carry. Let's talk a little bit, Dan, about the offensive line of the Cornhuskers. That's, of course, one of the reasons why this program continues to roll for Coach Osborne.
Yeah, they have such a good combination of power and speed. And I think that's really the difference in this Husker offensive line, is that they can get outside in front of Frost and in front of Green, but also they can just come right off the line and just blow apart huge holes in defensive lines.
Newcomb is also in the backfield. And Scott Frost fumble. I believe Nebraska, let's see what happens here.
It looked like he was trying to pitch the ball as he was going down.
Ball carried by Scott Frost.
It's another option play. Fake to Green up the middle. And now watch Frost here as he starts to stretch out. He sees he's got Brown on the outside, and he tries to lateral to him, number 14 there.
It looked like Corey Ivy hacked it out of his hands. Number 43 got around the other side and knocked it free. 3rd down and 2 for the Huskers. Option, Frost, first down. He is a tough son of a gun. Now, we asked Scott if the offensive line is better this year than a year ago. Here's what he had to say.
I think the offensive line is just a lot better unit as a whole. I think, you know, the 5 guys that are playing probably aren't that much better than last year, but they're playing so well together right now. They know their stuff, and they're used to playing with each other. And on top of that, I think we got the guys in the right positions, where I think last year we had a couple guys probably out of position, and it's just made a huge difference, and the holes we have to run through are huge.
He's rolling to the outside, and he is ridden out by Brandon Moore, number 46, the linebacker. Put a saddle on the Nebraska quarterback that time.
I asked Scott about his body yesterday and how it's doing, because he had 21 carries against Kansas last week. He says it's a little sore, but again, he is so determined to win these people over and to move the offense and be the leader. And there's nothing that's going to get him out of the offense. And then Tom Osborne says, you know, we're not going to change our style of play because of the big hits on the quarterback. If Frost can't go, Frankie London's not a bad backup.
2nd and 6, and certainly before this is too far along, we will be seeing Frankie London at quarterback. Coach Osborne will get a chance to look at a lot of reserves here in the second half. Frost takes another licking at the 35-yard line. Kelly Gregg, a defensive tackle, goes 285. So here's the offensive option breakdown. You can see how often he keeps it or pitches it, and then the changeup with Makovica at that fullback spot, and they have scored from every position in the option.
Yeah, they hit with the fullback. That's kind of like the jab in the middle or the body shots, but their knockout punch is the pitch or the quarterback keeping on the outside.
Davison came in motion. And there it is, complete inside the 15-yard line.
Complete to number 80,
Sheldon Jackson, a junior tight end from Diamond Bar, California, rolling free that time, and it is first down, Huskers.
Now, all 3 wide receivers are to the bottom of the screen. It's a play action fake, misdirection. And now at the end of the play, we'll come back to this. A great block by Bobby Newcomb.
Lance Brown's the wingback. Ahman Green straight ahead inside the 10-yard line.
Well, they're knocking everybody down. The umpire went down that time. Let's go back to the big pass play to Sheldon Jackson. There he is, wide open after blocking. Watch the block from the left side of the screen. Boom, right there. Newcomb. He's doing it all today. That time he took out the middle linebacker, Corey L. Ivy.
Huskers up 34-0 and stalking more. 2nd down and 1 at the Oklahoma 9-yard line. Lance Brown, number 14, is on the wing in this formation. And Scott will pitch it to him this time, and he goes touchdown. Number 14. So Lance Brown, coming off that wing, steps in for 6 more. Chris Brown to attempt the extra point. Perfect. It's 41-0. Frost doing a great job and finally puts it in the wingback's hands. And Brown with a nifty job to score. Responsible for the last Nebraska touchdown. Now Chris Brown out of South Lake, Texas. Into the wind. He wants Jackson again on that side at the 20-yard line. Cut off, forced back to the middle, and down at the 28-yard line. And it will be number 3, Eric Moore, who will quarterback the Sooners here. You get an idea of how many snaps. Valenti with the quick hook. Daniels was in for 20 snaps. And note that each of them turned it over on a fumble. The 4th fumble was on a kickoff return.
I don't get it either, Brent. Settle on one quarterback and let him play. By pulling a quarterback out every 5 or 6 plays, you totally destroy whatever little bit of confidence he may have.
Here's the left-hander. Down at the 26-yard line. Enormous pressure by the defensive front. Grant Wistrom playing a bang-up game. He is certainly a candidate for the Chevrolet player of this game if we look on this defensive side of the ball.
Charlie McBride, defensive coordinator of the Cornhuskers, says they had to change their type of defense for each of these different types of quarterbacks. He said that they're going to blitz a lot more against Fuente, but they don't really have to blitz. That defensive line, the front 4 is doing the job.
2nd and 12. Nothing doing for the freshman running back because 98 is there again. And Missouri up by 10 with 3:52 to go in the 4th. The importance there, of course, is the fact that Nebraska goes to Missouri next week. What a scene that would be if Mizzou pulls off that upset of Colorado today over in Boulder.
And you know, I think Grant Wistrom heard Tom Osborne say that Jason Peter was the best defensive lineman ever at Nebraska. You know, they're best friends.
3rd and 14 on the release, incomplete. Sooners forced to punt. Unless there's a flag, let's see what the situation is. Nope, here comes the punting team.
Grant Wistrom just refuses to get blocked today.
The young whiz, Newcomb, from behind Shackelford, under enormous pressure late in the first half a couple of times. Fielded at the 37-yard line, and this is Brandon Harrison out of bounds at the Sooners 45, an 18-yard return off a 39-yard punt. Timeout. The Sports presentation of college football is brought to you by Chili's Grill and Bar, home of the Big Mouth Burgers. Microsoft, where do you want to go today? Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest lasting trucks on the road. And MetLife, get Met. It pays. Jack Arute, Dan Fouts, I'm Brent Musburger. It is all Nebraska, the nation's #1 team, putting on a clinic here to the tune of 41-0 over Oklahoma with 9:15 to go in the third quarter. Scott Frost and Amon Green was just a couple of white jerseys away from going all the way. How about this offensive line of the Huskers, Jack Arute?
Brent, Aaron Taylor, believe it or not, when he first started playing football, literally did not know how to put the uniform on. They gave him a set of hip pads, Brent, and you know they're supposed to go in the hips, right? He tried to put him down in the knees. They gave him a set of thigh pads. He wasn't quite sure where they went. He tried to put him in the back. So finally he says, you know what I had to do? In junior high school, I used to sit in the locker room and watch the other guys get dressed. That told me what to put on where.
He puts it on very well now, doesn't he? 2nd down and 1. Makovicka! Touchdown, Nebraska!
John Blake's Sooners had to crowd the line of scrimmage if they had any hope at all of creating some type of turnover. A rare smile by Tom Osborne as he sees his walk-on fullback go 37 yards right up the middle.
And Chris Brown again. Going to have a tired leg by the time this baby's over. 48-0. 8:23 left in the third.
Makovicka has scored 7 times this year from the fullback position. This may be his most impressive. Makes a move there on Ivy and then just outruns everybody to the end zone. No Sooner in the picture. Came into the game averaging 7.3 yards per carry. Doing a nice job up in that today.
Kicking off for the Huskers, 35 Chris Brown. Back on for the Sooners, number 1, Terrell Jackson.
Since '92, you can see the number of points per game in this rivalry. It is hard to believe, but Coach Tom Osborne is 12-13 lifetime against this team. Jackson to the 35-yard line, and yet the last couple of years, certainly two of the most dominant games ever in the history of this rivalry.
I got a kick out of talking with him yesterday, Brent, when he said that he just started here as a head coach as the caretaker of Bob Devaney's great program. Now, after 25 years as the head man here, I'd say he's no longer the caretaker. He's a legend in his own right.
So Brandon Daniels now becomes the second quarterback this half. Hands off to Littrell, who busts one for 12 yards on that carry. And of course, this is the second consecutive week that Oklahoma has used 3 quarterbacks. And Osborne said, I don't know how they do it. We had one guy go into a game in the second quarter for 5 or 6 plays. We started a whole lot of controversies. I can't imagine what playing 3 guys, 25 snaps apiece, would do to your team. And here is Oklahoma. They used all 3 in the first half. Now it's the second quarterback to be used here in the second half. Great defense. Daniels will test it, handing it again to Littrell for a couple of yards that time. So Missouri heads into its showdown with Nebraska at Columbia next Saturday with a 10-point upset of Colorado in Boulder. 41-31 the final. You cannot say enough about Larry Smith and the job he has done. That coaching staff is a candidate for the coaching staff of the year job. That is remarkable. We watched them against Ohio State, That was a very mediocre football team on that day, but they have started to come along now, getting better and better. We'll find out next week how good. Daniels steps away from the rush, going down. Mike Rucker along with Wistrom that time.
And number 99.
Yeah, the numbers just keep piling up for Nebraska on defense. 5 sacks on the afternoon. And the quarterback has absolutely no chance at all. This time Daniels goes down under Rucker's pressure.
Jason Wiltz, number 99, also there defensively in some very long faces on the Sooner sideline. They trail it by 48, 6-28. Daniels, nothing doing. All over that play. Incomplete is the rule. So the Huskers, dominant, of course, in the Northern Division. There's the scores from around the league. Kansas State a winner. Missouri with its upset. Baylor beats Texas by 2. Kansas, a 10-point winner over Iowa State, and a big one tonight down in College Station. Texas A&M hosting Oklahoma State. The Cowboys are coming off that loss a week ago, and that South very much up in the air. Shackelford punting it, and Newcomb is the middleman back deep. Nebraska always protects its wings, or I shouldn't say always, most of the time. Coming through blocked. Warfield may have gotten to that one. It's going to be down at the 29-yard line. Number 3 was flying off the corner. Reminded me of Terrell Farley.
You know, he did such a good job that the ball actually will go under him. He got his right hand on the ball, and the ball still went 33 yards. Shackelford never saw him.
I think that was a message for Neuheisel. I'm not sure. But first down and 10. Frost pitch. Come on, Green to the alley. 40 sideline near midfield and finally out of bounds. We had an opportunity to ask Ahman Green what his favorite play is, and here's what he had to say.
I say one of our inside trap plays, 42 counter trap or 42 power, which is about the same, where I'm hitting the host at the same rate. I like it because it got the chance to go all the way. I mean, if you hit it just right, there's nobody, you probably won't even get touched on the play. And, you know, my lineman, the guards is trapping the defensive tackle, and my fullback's taking on the play side, rush in. And if everything is clicking, that play could go all the way.
Frost tries to get clicking on the pass play to Newcomb. Oh, wow, what a catch by the freshman. Oh, how did he do that?
You know, Brent, he was out of bounds and came back in bounds, and I don't think the official saw it. And maybe he was forced out of bounds, but watch, right side of the screen, looks like Frost is throwing this ball away, but apparently
13 forced him out, I believe. That was Terry White.
Forced him out, and then watch this catch with the left hand. Where did this guy come from?
Well, he was born in Africa. The family moved to the United States. Played high school ball in Albuquerque as Makovica twists and powers his way down toward the 31-yard line.
Stopped on the play by number 92, Corey Caleb.
As long as the defensive back pushes you out of bounds, you can come back onto the playing field and make a play on the ball. And that's exactly what happened. But the play on the ball was so impressive.
Second down and 4. And back they come, and Makovica goes for another touchdown. That's not an instant replay. That's brand new.
You know that favorite play that Ahman Green said he liked so much? This one is just like it. It's a trap play right up the middle, and if it's blocked correctly, this is the result. 2 times in a row now, Makovic has gone right up the middle, untouched. This one's 32 yards. He's got 3 touchdowns on the day.
Chris Brown almost exhausted. Adds another one. 5:09 to go in the third. The Cornhuskers 55. Oklahoma nothing. Hard to believe. Yeah, pretty good indication when they roll for over 300 yards. A year ago, they only had 208 yards down in Norman. And you can see the record when they reached that number. On the ground, picked up on the 15-yard line by Lewis. And the refreshed return man. His first kickoff return of the game as they ignored Jackson that time. They got bored kicking it to Jackson, so they'll try Lewis out to the 39. A year ago, down in Norman, it was 73-21. Nebraska, and here today it is 55-0 inside of 5 minutes, and now Eric Moore returns. So that means that Justin Fuente is deep in the doghouse, Dan.
You think they might want to throw the ball with the wind at their back. Fuente did not throw the ball well in the first quarter, but he's never had a shot to try it again since then.
Here is their most impressive running back of the day, Luttrell, and again Demond Parker, one of the finest running backs in the country, missing this game because of an injury. So the Sooners did come into this one shorthanded, but it would have taken several supermen to overcome a 55-point explosion on the part of the Huskers here today. Make no mistake, this right now is the #1 team in the nation. Still a lot of football to be played, but you wouldn't want to question it today. Luttrell out to the left, and forced penalty flag will come late on the play. This is a pretty tough looking sky, and I see a lot of folks heading for shelter right now. Face mask penalty goes against, and you can see why, raindrops on that camera lens right now, and it's starting to howl inside of Memorial Stadium.
A little thunder and lightning, too.
5-yard penalty. Gives it first down.
Jack, I know one family tough enough to stick it out, the Makovickas.
Well, this is Jeff Makovic, and he's a 2-time national champion. And you said before we were on the air, this is what kind of weather?
This is football weather right now. This is what you like to play in. This is what especially a hard-running football team wants to play in, and they got an ideal situation. I think they're going to run with it.
How about the performance of your brother today?
I'm just so excited with what he's done all year in the team, and today he's actually doing really good, and that last touchdown was great.
All right, Jack, try to stay dry down there, partner. Chad Kelsey out of Auburn, Nebraska. He's a junior backup defensive end. A lot of reserves now starting to file onto the field, and a lot of red ponchos are breaking out here in the stands of Memorial Stadium as the shower begins to come down. And beautiful rainbow over Memorial Stadium here in Lincoln.
It's all part of the celebration for Tom Osborne's 250th win, huh?
Luttrell pounded at the 46-yard line. And a reminder, next week we'll have Nebraska at Missouri, also Michigan at Penn State, Stanford to play USC, Georgia Tech, Virginia. Then on Saturday night on ESPN, North Carolina will host Florida State. At ESPN tonight, you've got West Virginia and Syracuse in the Big East. I was thinking 1 week ahead of myself already. Third down and 8. And Moore hands to Luttrell, who is ambushed from the back and pulled down by Eric Johnson, the junior linebacker, #1.
Eric Johnson fits into that athlete category that Charlie McBride, defensive coordinator, likes to talk about. Guys that are good, hard hitters, regardless of their size. They run well, and basically, they're very good athletes. It doesn't matter how big they are, just as long as they'll hit and make tackles all over the field. And that's what Johnson and McFarland and a number of these guys do so well.
4th and 4. With the wind at their back and trailing by 55, why not? And Moore fires, got an open man, got it. And to the 2-yard line goes Steven Alexander, 1st and goal. Their fine tight end making the big play on 4th down, 40 yards. There's their most impressive offensive play of the game.
Here he is, number 80, just running right down the middle of the defense, gets behind Eric Warfield, and that's a great pass by Eric Moore. And the Nebraska string of shutouts is in real danger of being snapped now. Great pass protection for Moore, and a perfect throw. And you know what, Brent? This will be the deepest penetration by a Nebraska opponent in 3 weeks.
First and goal. Moore up under center. The fullback Luttrell, touchdown OU.
Ball carried by number 35.
The string is over. Seth Luttrell, freshman fullback who has run hard all day, been the most impressive of the skill players for OU, bangs hard into the end zone.
This true freshman has now gained 87 yards on 19 carries, and they've all been tough ones right up the middle.
Jeremy Alexander set for the extra point. 2 minutes remaining here. Quarter number 3. This is a great lift for those youngsters from Norman. Bangs the extra point, makes it 55-7. So Tom Osborne's reserves on the field. They give it up, and Oklahoma will gladly take it, and we ship you to New York and John Saunders. John.
Time for the Burger King play of the day. Thad Busby of Florida State hooking up with E.G. Green. This one would cover 80 yards when all was said and done for Green. His 25th career touchdown catch, tying Barry Smith, who did it back in the 70s. And Florida State is rolling over NC State in this one, but that play covering 80 yards. That's your Burger King play of the day. Florida State leads by 20.
And here it's 55-7 Nebraska. Oklahoma snaps the Huskers' defensive string of scoreless quarters. 10 after back-to-back shutouts.
Will be number 15, Jeremy Alexander.
Well, Tom Osborne, he'll record victory number 250 here today in his 25th year.
Number 25, Joe Walker. And number 12, Bobby Newcomb.
And had a brief career with the San Francisco 49ers. They'll take, gonna bring it out. This is Walker. Not the best of decisions on Joe Walker's part, and mentioned, of course, that Osborne played briefly as a wide receiver with the San Francisco 49ers. So let's take a look at the Home Depot coaches fact. His roommate was Jack Kemp, and he said, I knew that he was a serious young man and a conservative back in those days. Osborne did of Kemp because all he did was sit around and read books in the room. Frankie London in at quarterback. We thought we'd see him today, and here he is. Here's the toss to Ahman Green, and Green to the 16-yard line.
And the reason Tom Osborne was a roommate of Jack Kemp is because originally Tom Osborne was a quarterback. But not only did the 49ers have Jack Kemp on the squad trying to make the team, they had a guy named Y.A. Tittle and a young quarterback by the name of John Brody. So Tom Osborne saw the handwriting on the wall and says, hey, let me play end.
And then the Niners, Dan, traded Tittle to the Giants. Is that right?
In 61, they traded him to the New York Giants for Lou Cornelione. And all 49er fans to this day think that's one of the all-time great trades to the New York Giants.
Well, as Scott Frost will take the rest of the game off, what's your assessment of the performance we saw by number 7 here for Nebraska?
I think it's his leadership that is so impressive. He really only made one bad decision on the entire day. And in talking to their offensive coordinator, Frank Solich, he says that's been a big part of his improvement. Is they come up to the line of scrimmage a lot, and they have a lot of check with me plays. A lot of times he has to make the change of the play at the line of scrimmage, and he is just playing with so much confidence now that this team is much more dangerous than it has been in a long time.
London keeps it, steps for a Nebraska first down. Frankie London out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. He's a sophomore, 6 foot, 180 pounds. And we still have a half minute to go here in the third quarter. And when London appeared early in the year, there were some boos when Frost trotted back onto the field. But as Dan has pointed out several times in the first half, there were no boos after Frost and the Huskers returned from Seattle, having beaten the favored Washington Huskies. Buckhalter is still the I-back. London's going to throw to him on a swing. A little bit too far in front of him. 7 seconds remain here in the quarter. Second and 10. Undenies the defensive set of the Sooners. This figures to be the last snap of the third quarter. Here is the pitch now to Buckhalter. First down, Nebraska, as the quarter comes to an end. So Joe Makovica, 3 touchdowns on the day. And a couple of them looked very similar. We'll have more after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Team rolling 55-7. Florida still under fire from Georgia. That one's 21-17. Bulldogs still with a lead in Jacksonville. The rain coming down on Tom Osborne's day of celebration. 25 years. This will be victory number 250. And it comes at the hands of the old rival, Oklahoma, a team he will not see again until the next century. Under the rotation schedule of the Big 12, they will not play next year, for the next couple of years. And this is Carl Buckhalter. Give you an idea, in the north, Nebraska well on its way to another Big 12 championship game this year to be played in San Antonio rather than St. Louis. The Huskers at 4-0 will play now 4-2 Missouri in Columbia next Saturday. Dan and I will be there, looking forward to that one, seeing Corby Jones again. The South very wide open unless Oklahoma State can beat Texas A&M tonight. That would put the Cowboys at 4-1 and in control of that division. So a huge one tonight. Quarterback draw by London to the 44, short of the first down, and Brown makes the stop.
Boy, and Brent, you mentioned the words Big 12 championship game, and you get a reaction out of this Cornhusker football team. You talk about a bad taste in their mouth. They've used it as motivation this entire season, and they really want to make atonement for that.
4th and 1. Never forget it. James Brown to Derek Lewis. Longhorn fans won't forget it either. That's probably the last thing they've had to really cheer about. Can't believe that the Horns got hooked today by Baylor. 3rd down and 1. London keeps it. First down. Breaks it inside Oklahoma territory and out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Nifty looking little runner. Travian Smith finally got him out.
By number 36, Travian Smith.
He gives you a little bit different type of option quarterback than Frost. Frost will try to run over defensive backs and linebackers, as we've seen today. London tries to make a miss.
Big snaps for some backup offensive linemen because Nebraska will have to rebuild basically the entire offensive line next year. Hoskinson is now in at center. And here is the freshman I-back powering right straight ahead off of his block. Coral Buckhalter, he's out of Collins, Mississippi. And with the injury to Sims, he's now the number 2 man to Amon Green. Yeah, and remember at 8 Eastern, Mike Tyson and Michael Jordan go one-on-one on Primetime Live. A couple big interviews there. And then it's the Steelers and the Chiefs in Kansas City. Dan, what's your feeling about the Monday Nighter on ABC?
I'm a little bit worried about Jerome Bettis. I understand he's hurting a little bit going into that one. Not an easy place to win, Arrowhead Stadium, especially without your bus.
Second down and 2, and London looking for the screen. Got it set with Buckhalter. Beautiful block, 25-20, and he is down to the 9-yard line. A penalty flag. A couple of them. There's probably a face mask at the end of that play, which would be half the distance, and put it down on that 4-yard line when they get finished marking things off here.
So many interchangeable parts for Nebraska. Buckhalter comes in the game and looks every bit as effective as Amon Green.
Probably only fitting for Oklahoma that the Undertaker is the referee here today, and that's Al Dowden.
And they called the face mask against Nebraska, but isn't this a face mask against Oklahoma? Penalties will offset, and sometimes even the Undertaker makes a mistake, and what a costly one it might be.
To get on his case, he can always go over and say, "I'll see you down the road, partner."
It's not my idea of a good time is to be buried in Oklahoma. I did play against the Sooners in '72.
And they did bury, yeah?
Oh, did they ever? 68-3, and our 3 points that day came on about a 59-yard field goal. Oh, I was brilliant.
Second down and 2. Buckhalter, short of it.
Ball carried by Phil Buckhalter. Buckhalter brings on the play, number 37 yards.
It's absolutely amazing what Nebraska continues to do year after year. When you think about Oklahoma and the problems that they've had over the last few seasons, some other big programs around the country. And,
well, it all comes back to Osborne being here for 25 years. Stability. His coaching staff has got a tremendous amount of experience. They don't have to learn things every year. The players know exactly what they get when they come here to Nebraska.
Here's 3rd and 2. Let's see what London comes up with. Straight power handoff, and the freshman in there for the first down. Strong run. 3 teams, and remember, Florida is under fire this afternoon again by Georgia. Nebraska and Florida State figure to move to 8-0, but look at Notre Dame, Miami, Texas. Oklahoma will fall under 500 this year. Some big names falling by the wayside this season, but Tom Osborne and the Huskers continuing to roll. If he can win it all this year, it would be 3 national titles in 4 years, but he'll have to go back through South Florida. And if it winds up being Florida State down there, remember the Noles will have a huge home field advantage. Be a lot of fans down there.
A couple of great defenses testing some very versatile offenses.
Still a lot of football to be played. North Carolina says we'll have something to say about that next Saturday night in Chapel Hill. Wistrom and his friend Peter. Strong game here today. London steps out. Here's the pitch to Buckhalter. And a penalty flag comes flying. And Buckhalter to the 30-yard line, but again there's yellow. 10:44 to go. 55-7 Nebraska. Can you remember any other holding calls against Nebraska today?
No, there were none against their first team. That offensive line was just outstanding. We're seeing what happens when you put in some of your reserves.
Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
And remember, they've had only 2 holding calls all season. And so that first unit offense didn't get one today. A remarkable string by that line. Pollock, Taylor, and Heskew, Zeneska, Anderson. Great job, and they're all out of the game right now. London bringing around, going to throw. Got an open man. Got him. Out of bounds at the 5-yard line. Bobby Newcomb. Here's a man who won the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and the 400 meters, and the long jump as a senior in high school in Albuquerque. No wonder he's all alone.
And he's going to limp off the field. Let's hope that he's not injured after he gets shoved out of bounds here. This was a great throw by Frankie London. But I'd be looking for number 12. I mean, how many ways can Nebraska hurt you? Now, Newcomb is becoming a force.
3 catches, Dan, for 88 yards, 1 touchdown. Seems to be all right on the sideline. Touchdown, Buckholder. That's his second. Oh, baby. 72 points last year and already 61 with an extra point to come this year. It must be very comforting for Osborne to look across the field and not see Barry Switzer over there. That was his old nemesis. And Ted Retzlaff gets a shot. Chris Brown's leg obviously tired. So the senior from Waverly gets to put this extra point up. It's 62-7. Oh, if they're upset more in Norman, Oklahoma, or down in Alabama with that one. Holy Toledo. Out of the end zone and coming up on the 20. How the times have changed, huh, Dan?
Oh, we put up that graphic about some very prominent football programs struggling. To add Alabama to the list.
What's up, people back?
They were there already, struggling this year. And who's the quarterback? Eric Moore.
I don't know. Pick one. That seems to be the way John Blake's deciding.
First down out to the 22-yard line. That's Buster Kuhn, freshman tailback, number 38. Getting his first carry. Inside of 10 minutes. And again, he received a vote of confidence this week from the president of the university down in Oklahoma. To the 26-yard line. That's Luttrell still hanging tough for him. And a reminder, tomorrow we have the final round of the Tour Championship. That's 2 Eastern time. Duval, Love, Faxon, and Glasson all tied for the lead at 8 under par. So that's tomorrow at ABC. 9:19 to go here for the game. It's 62-7. The Huskers showing why they are number 1 and going to stay that way this week. Fumble! Whistle! Dash into the end zone, but the whistle had blown.
You know, that's 2 plays this guy has made today. Kyle Vandenbosch that have been called back. Remember, he blocked a punt in the first half, and the Sooners were offside, so that didn't count. And this one they're going to say that Seth Luttrell was down before the fumble occurred. Look at all the Nebraska Cornhuskers trying to rip that ball loose. Carlos Polk was number 13 there. And poor Vandenbosch has another big play that doesn't count.
He's a freshman out of Larchwood, Iowa. 3rd string defensive rushman.
Oklahoma needs
Please down it.
Here's the sideline.
Get on it. Well, the faces of the Warriors here today. It's 62-7. We'll be right back. Presentation of college football is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven that Ford lately? National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. Dean Witter. There are many ways to measure success. Dean Witter measures success one investor at a time. And by Nike. The breeze is whipping across the plains, the ever-changing sky, but some things never change in Lincoln, like the Cornhuskers, #1, and going to stay there with an awesome performance today. And Macavicka pounding straight ahead for the Huskers. He scored 3 touchdowns. And there is that brilliant Midwestern sky, Dan Fouts.
Well, the thing I like about it is that's the direction I'm headed after this ball game's over. West, right into the sunset.
Macavicka over 100, 3 touchdowns. Well-deserved round of applause. Averages better than 10 yards a carry today. A dream game for Joel Macavicka. Alexander. So he makes the charts with a carry today. 7 minutes and counting. That clock cannot move fast enough for the Oklahoma Sooners. And certainly we will have time for the thrifty Car Rental post-game report. John Saunders and Todd Blackledge will take it just as soon as this one comes to an end. They'll bring you to the top of the hour and fill you in with scores and highlights. Right back to the well again. Alexander's got a little size on him too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he goes about 250. And really got some guns too. You know, the great thing about these Nebraska players is that weight room was so impressive. We were in there yesterday, and the equipment that they have and the technology. But I love the stand, the podium, where you've got to be a qualifier in lifting so many pounds. I don't really know a whole lot about weight rooms, Brent, other than that's where you're supposed to weigh a lot. But these guys are really something, the way they get ready.
On 4th down, they go right straight ahead. Willie Miller.
Another big guy. He goes 235.
Jack Arute.
Well, guys, you know, you're talking about that weight room. That was the brainchild of Boyd Epley, who was originally here as a strength and conditioning coach. Now get this. He is the director of conditioning, and it's a multi-surface thing. Boyd, I talked to him before the game. He says, we employ nutritionists, what they call rehabilitative nutritionists, and also they take the strength and conditioning and tailor it to the position that they run. But listen to what they added this year, guys. A sports psychologist. This is a major factory in Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right, Jack, did you get any free visits with that fella down in the locker room yesterday? And I'm not talking about the strength coach. No comment. Jack went silent on us for the first time, Dan. I thought maybe he was on the couch for something for a while. 2nd down and 7.
He told me not to answer questions like that.
Willie Miller. Get your saddlebags ready, partner. You got 5 minutes to say whatever you want down there. You've used... I've got a friend that's running audio down there. He just starts to say something nasty and we turn him off, right, Dan?
Yeah, that sports psychologist, that works every time, huh, Jack?
3rd down and 2. This is Monte Cristo is the quarterback. Alexander, the running back. Another 1st down. Osborne is trying to call the dogs off, and they just keep moving down toward the end zone. But there's my favorite name of the day, Monte Cristo, out of Kearney, Nebraska, junior quarterback, 6 foot, 200 pounds.
Hey, you know, Brent, these running backs, they get the ball, and this offensive line is trying to open holes. So what are they going to do? They're just not supposed to fall down. Keep running until you get tackled.
Miller blast to the 9-yard line.
Keep running until you get to the end zone, baby.
That's right. Third string trying to take it into the house now with the rain coming down.
You got to really wonder about parents with the last name of Cristo that go out and name their son Monty.
Well, parents with a sense of humor, that's what I like.
Must have been on the menu.
Set it down. That was Josh Cobb.
Something else on the menu.
Well, we want to also thank our spotter, Brian Movelson, working overtime today, looking 3 and 4 deep into the small print on the Nebraska roster.
And you know, with that rush, the Cornhuskers meet their season average, actually surpass it. 400 yards rushing on the afternoon.
3:10. And Miller says, I'm going to the house. Put it up.
Ball carried by number 15, Willie Miller. Miller scoring for the Huskers.
Would not be denied.
Well, when it's your first college touchdown, as it is for Willie Miller, it just adds to the numbers.
So Nebraska bids a bond adieu to Oklahoma for a couple of years off their schedule. They're going to go 3 deep with kickers, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dan Haydenfeld. They've had 3 guys kick extra points in this game. 69-7. Timeout. 69-7 Nebraska. 3 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. And Brett Slav will kick it off. From the 3-yard line is Chris Lewis. Lewis down at the 19-yard line. Well, I certainly have an opportunity to thank all the folks who've been bringing you college football all fall. The coordinating producer is Tony Tortorisi, the executive producer here at ABC, Steve Anderson. Today's telecast was produced by Jim Ressler, directed by Drew Esikoff. Our TD today, Jeff Suarez. Our associate producer, Patrick McManus. The production manager, Beth Giuliani Gatto. And our technical operations manager, Jay Gleason. So let me thank everybody, cameramen and everybody who brought you this game today. Eric Moore is in.
Brent, all those people you mentioned are all first stringers, too. We're not going to the bench at all today.
Well, our assistants to the producer, Elizabeth Reel and Brian Lockhart, they'll get us out of here as soon as this one ends. Those cars will be down there, warmed up, cold Budweiser, the whole thing. Our stats man, Roger Riley, nice job. Anthony Holman, computer stats. Sideline coordinator, Babu Blakes, stands down there in the rain. Make sure we get all the bills paid. 2:47 to go. And of course, right now, we can imagine that Mo Anking, he's a favorite of our director, Drew Esikoff. He can't wait for that meeting to see how he's going to shut down this Nebraska. You know, the good news is for Missouri, you upset Colorado. The bad news is Nebraska's coming to play you next. That is some tough assignment for Mo Anking this week.
Well, they upset Oklahoma State the week before, and it's good to see that Mo has recovered from being knocked out in the wild celebration there at Stillwater. One of the players on the Missouri team was swinging his helmet wildly and knocked Mo out cold during the celebration.
It's dangerous. Second down, and Moore keeps it. Now late pitch. Short of the first down. Buster Kuhn, number 38, the ball carrier for the Sooners. Long, long way to go for Oklahoma.
Thanks a lot.
And on the other side, victory number 250. He has run one of the great programs in college football. And is such a treat to come in here. These are some of the greatest fans that I've ever been around in the history of sport. Any game. Moore runs the option. And they just keep on licking you down there.
They just keep bringing out fresh bodies. Keep coming out, hitting the quarterback. Moore's wondering when the other guy gets to go back in.
Final minute. Our friends John Saunders and Todd Blackledge getting ready for the Thrifty car rental post-game show. 35 seconds. Shackelford. Nebraska's only got 10 men on the field. Down at the 46-yard line. It was good enough. Well, the final 14 seconds. They'll run it out. So a reminder, the unbeatens, Florida State still going, Washington State, and folks, Washington State could lose tonight. They got a toughie in Tempe against an improving Arizona State team. Toledo puts up another number. North Carolina on Thursday night, a field goal better than Georgia Tech. Michigan a winner today, and of course here, the #1 team in the country until someone can prove otherwise right on the field. This team deserves to be #1. This is an awesome group in here under Tom Osborne. There it is. 25 years, 250 victories. He lost his first 5 games ever against Oklahoma. Finally, he broke through in the 6th one. And what would happen? They would invite both teams to the Orange Bowl, and Barry Switzer would beat him that year in the rematch. And after struggling, he finally comes out after whipping away in Norman today at 69.